Today I'm going to show you in this video how to make bicolored grapes. This recipe is not lacto-fermented, but it is a natural way of preserving food. Begin by just rinsing out the mason jar. Don't need to do any super sterilization thing for this job, for this food. So basically what this recipe is, it's a mixture of red and green grapes preserved in wine vinegar. And what you'll find with this recipe is that the grapes, you can eat them plain, but they're a little bit tart, so you're not going to want to eat a whole bunch of grapes like you might with regular fresh grapes. But they work really well with meat or with other food, so you can put some on your plate along with some other meal. The recipe where I found this said to put the grapes in the jar on their stem or whatever, to leave a smaller part of the stem attached to them. And I've made them both ways, both with the grapes on the stems and with the grapes just separate. And I didn't notice a very large difference. It's possible that there's someone who's more of a food connoisseur may see it. So feel free to do it either way. Maybe it looks a little bit more artistic if you can have the grapes still on the stem. So what you begin with doing is taking your little clumps of grapes and you put them in, and then from time to time you want to press them down. This is to get out the excess air, to compact them, so you're not using less vinegar, you get more grapes in. Now you want to be careful when you're doing this because you don't want to split the grapes. All you're looking to do is to get the grapes packed in more closely together. And as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm alternating layers of green and red grapes. So that's going to give it a nice appearance. And over time, this is sitting around, they're going to shift around some, and it won't be quite so distinct. And this is as you can see, it's a little bit of a time-consuming recipe relative to other recipes that I made. But it goes much quicker if you just take all of the grapes off the vine instead of cutting them up into small bunches. So as you see, I'm finishing up here one layer of red grapes. Now I'm going to go and I'm pushing them down. You can see here, as the layers get thicker, as you compact them, you get more compression. And this is kind of nice because you don't want, what you're actually wanting to eat out of this is the grapes. Although I suppose you can use the wine vinegar as well. But you want to put more grapes in, so you're not using like a whole pint of wine vinegar for a single quart of bicolored grapes. Another thing that I really like about this is it's a way of preserving fruit. Most of the sort of natural preservation methods I've seen work better for vegetables than are for vegetables. So it's more difficult to find a way to hang on to your fruit and use it, have it available for use much later. But this way works. I haven't been making this long enough to say, give an absolute end to the storage time, how long they last, but after a couple of months they're holding up very well. Again, as you can see, this is more of a time-consuming recipe, but as I've made later batches, you can see that this recipe you become more proficient at it as you go along. Yeah, and as you're also seeing, getting these really small bunches is difficult, and it's also harder to pack the. It's also more difficult to pack the grapes when you're putting them on the bunches because they don't slide over each other as well. And as you get closer to the top, you can kind of press on each side, try to hit all the angles as you're compressing them. Okay, so now I found you don't want to put it on the very top, but I'm here putting in some peppercorns and cloves. But I put them close to the top and then put another layer over them. These will filter. These will also filter. Yeah, so I'm putting a tablespoon of sugar in as well. So it's not a whole lot of sugar, so you don't need to be too worried about that. So now it's not a super sweet recipe. So now after I put in the seasonings, I put in another layer of grapes. Then I'm going to pour in the vinegar, and then the vinegar is going to wash the seasoning down somewhat further into the mixture. So as you get to the very top, you have to be as harder sort of getting them in because you want to make sure all the grapes are underneath the vinegar level. And you'll have some that float up, but even as they're floating, they'll stay mostly below the surface of the vinegar. So as you want to get more information, more of the details on making this, you can go to my website. The link is in the description of this video. So you go there and you'll be able to find the full recipe with all the details and quantities. But don't worry about those too much. You just add stuff in as you like. And you put a little bit more of this, add in some different flavorings. It's still going to turn out. These recipes are fairly foolproof. So now that everything is in there, I'm just pouring in the wine vinegar. And as you can see, I'm not quite the rest of that bottle didn't give me quite enough, so I'm opening up another bottle and I'll top that off. So now that this is topped off, all the grapes are covered. So now we just put on the top, and there you have it. And then just snack on any additional grapes you have. See here, you can see a nice mixture of red and green grapes.